Hey artists, welcome back. Today we are going to paint in our celluclay creatures. I'm going to do my demonstration on one of the fish that we made, but the technique is all the same. No matter what your animal is, you're all going to start painting it the same way. We need to put a base coat on the animal in order to just make sure the celluclay is sealed. We're going to use all of those paints that were donated to us, so when you open it, it's probably going to need to be stirred up. You can use one of the craft sticks to stir it up. I'm going to use the back of the paintbrush to stir this one. I don't want you guys to do that. You can use a craft stick. What we want to do is use a lighter color for the base. And those of you who are doing your taxidermied animal heads, you are going to paint the entire piece with one color. The base, the cardboard, the animal head, neck, it doesn't even matter what color your animal is. The first step is just to cover it with a base coat, which is going to be your lightest value. Some of that color will show through. Again, when we paint, remember the rules. Dip just the tip of the brush. You don't need the paint all the way up on the metal part in the danger zone. Look as you are painting around, move it around, make sure you're getting the paint in those nooks and crannies. So, once you get the entire thing covered with the base coat, again, it doesn't matter what color it is as long as it's a light value color. If you have time, that may be as far as you get in one class session, is just completely covering the whole thing with the base coat. Please make sure you rinse these paintbrushes out very well. You've got your red cup of water. Let it swim at the bottom of the cup. Swish it around in there. You guys have to clean these paintbrushes out really good because this is acrylic paint. If the paintbrushes are not cleaned properly, that acrylic paint will dry in there and it'll ruin the paintbrush. Wipe it on a rag. Also, please make sure you have a piece of newspaper that you're painting on, because again, this paint will get on the tables, it will stick to the tables and ruin it if it is not cleaned up properly. Okay, once you get your entire piece covered with that base coat of paint, you are going to need to pick a darker value of color. Now you want one that represents your animal a little bit more. So I just pulled, I think this is Dominic's piece out. He's doing a bird. So you might have a light color like this, but now Dominic wants to get some bird feathers on here. And again, you're going to paint, he's going to paint all of this. And he can paint that a different color too. He could even paint this like feathers to maybe make it look like the bird body coming off of the stand. Right now, don't worry about eyes and beaks. We're just going to try to get the fur or the texture of the feathers on here. That's the next step. The eyes will be the very last thing we do, so don't even think about eyes right now. So I'm going to show you those different techniques on the fish. Again, you're going to use the paints that are those old ones. Some of them have those covers on it. Take your craft stick, stir it up. This one is really thick, so if it's super thick like this one, add a little water to it to thin it down. Just a tiny bit of water, mix it up. Once you find the color of the animal that you want, at this point you could also actually use tempera paint because you sealed it with the acrylic paint. So if you wanted to try to mix your own brown with the tempera paint by using all three colors, you could do that too. But there's pretty good amount of browns. I also like to use a smaller paintbrush at this step. So if I'm doing feathers, I would take my paintbrush. I don't want to cover all the lighter value paint, but as I work, I want to start from, let's say this is the bird's beak. So I would start from the beak, I would start from the back of the bird and work my way out this way, because you want the feathers and the fur to go the way they lay. So you're going to start from the back. You're going to do the same thing with fur. Let some of those background colors show through. of that base coat. So that might not be a dark enough value. It's not enough contrast for me. So maybe I want to do a third layer. This is a really dark brown. And I could add that one on to create even more contrast and interest. Remember, your animals are three-dimensional. You want the fur to look also three-dimensional. And we don't have to worry about contaminating these. So I can take a third value, and again, you're just kind of brushing it on so it looks like fur layering on top, or feathers layering. And you want each color to show through. So this is starting to look like layering fur and have that animal-like texture for fur or feathers. All right. See how that looks? Then the animal starts to look a little three-dimensional. Now, if you're doing a reptile or a snake, you're going to add patterns. So you might get some of the more brighter colors over there, and just you lay your color down and then add some patterns. You can add patterns, you know, by doing dots. Think about contrast, artists. Light colors against dark colors. Okay? So that's how you're going to start today, and get as far as you can. Again, don't worry about details like eyes and noses and things like that. We will do that on the very last day. All right. Rinse those paintbrushes super, super good in your water. Wipe them on a rag. Put them back over at the supply area. All right. Get your pieces and get started.